I think most of you know me. I'm Bob Brechin. I've been liaising with Alan to get this show on the road. I was chief designer, and we used to work in the building over there. We'll come to in a minute. I'll introduce you to these two guys that have turned up. Alan Clark was brand manager for Action Man, so he looked after the marketing in the early days. What's some of the products you did?
All of them.
It's about Scorpion Tank and before that, you know.
Dolls as well.
He went on to Dolls later, but and John Holmes here, he was a production engineer, worked in there. He was the guy that would set up the production belts and make sure there was enough staff on there to operatives to actually put the thing together. You know, where to put the rivet in the leg on the belt, and where to put
it together, balance the line, and give the girls a rate for the job that they were happy with. But
so he'll probably talk when we get around there. He'll talk more about that. But what we do, we'll go around the building here and come up that way. Okay. This Palitoy started making toys on this site in 1937. The company used to be called Castleloyd, and Castleloyd started in Leicester in 1919 by Mr. Pallet. In 1935, they applied to get the name Palitoy, but it took a long while because there was a village in India called Pali. But they got it eventually, and then the actual name itself was used for the first time as a brand name when the toys were started here in 1937. These buildings here, the one at the end was built in 1966, that brick building, but Palitoy, when it was with Castleloyd used to make these blown bottles, you know, squeezy bottles. They used to make great big plastic things that you used to put chemicals in as well, all sorts of things like that. And toys was getting a bit too big for them, really, I suppose. You know, they would concentrate on these bottles. Alan probably knows more about this than me, actually. He was here before me. But they wanted somewhere to assemble all the dolls. They were moulding them over at Leicester, Abbey Lane, and they got this building around the corner, and we'll come to shortly. But this building was put up and opened in 1966, wasn't it, Alan? Yeah, same year as Action Man came out. So the money they made from products like Tressie, Tiny Tears. Tressie came out in 1964, similar doll to Barbie, but with growing hair. Tiny Tears came out in 1965. So all that money they made, and then they got the Action Man license from America, of course, you know all about that. So the money they made, we were able to build this building. Now, the girls, if you stop a minute, these offices here, the two windows here was the dress design department. We had a team of about four or five girls and a machinist, and they used to work here. They first obviously were designing dolls' dresses, you know, for all the dolls, and then they got onto Tressie, so they were making little tiny dresses then. So when Action Man came along, they were quite adept at making the little outfits. So they were sitting in here, in the desks in here, designing dolls' dresses, Action Man outfits, etc., etc. The window, the third one down was Bill Pugh's office. You know who Bill Pugh was? He was design director, my boss.
He invented the Jif lemon.
He invented the Jif lemon. Bill Pugh, he sort of headhunted in 1947 by Henry Senior, who was managing director of Castleloyd after the war. Bill was he commanded a landing craft at D-Day, and he was working in London as an exhibition designer, and Senior wanted somebody to push the design forward at Castleloyd, and toys were coming up and so forth. So he got Bill to move up to Leicestershire in 1947, and Bill was sent on one of the first groups of people that went to America to get new machinery into this country after the war, and he brought back the blow moulding machinery, and blow molding machine was sort of invented before the war in America, and they were still, it's amazing, in 1977 they were still making glass bottles, and there was no these plastic bottles being made, but by when was it? There was about 10 billion made by the end of the century, billions. But the blowing, obviously, as you know, if you don't know the process, it's made from high density polyethylene, and the machine it sends a plastic like a sausage down, a sort of very soft plastic, and the mould comes together, and then air is blown in and it squeezes it into the mould, so you get a one piece. If you imagine a watering can, you know those watering cans you can buy, that's how the body of the scorpion tank's made.
A lot of the cheaper dolls we made were blow moulded.
Yeah.
Tiny tins with vinyl moulded, which is a totally different process.
Vinyl moulding is where we called them pots, didn't we?
Yeah, yeah.
Like a head, you know, that's a pot, and there'd be about 12 of them on a big wheel, and you squeeze the
liquid
in
yeah.
into the pots, and then they go into an oven, and it's rotated biaxially, so that way and that way, so it spreads all the plastic to the outside the mould, and then it goes into a cooling section, and then it comes out, and then they get some long-nosed pliers, don't they?
Yeah, you just pull them out while you're
They pull them out.
Similar to how they do the Easter eggs at Thornton's and things like that.
That's how the original Action Man heads made.
Yeah.
You know, before they had the eagle eyes. Of course, when they had eagle eyes, they have to put the eyes inside the heads. They have to injection mould it then. And that injection moulding is a different process. So this was the original design department just here. Come down here. Who's got goggle sledge teeth? The original model was made in this door. This used to be our model shop down here. We used to have to come out in the cold and come down here. It's the boiler room. So all those sort of early models and things that we used to make, the Explorer stuff and all that stuff is made in there.
The cellar.
The cellar. This was the security guard, wasn't it?
Commissionaire's office.
The commissionaire. He used to have a suit with a cap and used to stand there and watch people come up the drive. So this is the entrance, obviously, coming up. This is where people used to come to work. They used to come up here. When we first started computing, this was the computer room, wasn't it? There was a guy in there, and nobody was allowed in there, and you had to wear special clothes and things over your shoes and humidity and temperature. That's one of the main entrances into that block there. The company in here now is Blue Sky, and they do aerial photography. Now where were you, Alan?
Top right.
Alan, marketing was up here. So Alan was up there. Where was Les, your boss? Les Cook.
Across the way.
Over the other side?
Yeah.
He was above Frank Manning, who was in the bottom.
So sort of marketing and sales were up here. At the top. Who's down the bottom then?
That's all sales office.
It's all sales, isn't it? Yeah. So sales down there. Now this building on the right was the very first building where Palitoy started in 1937 when they were assembling soft-bodied dolls. And the entrance is on the other side, which is Owen Street. That's why Palitoy is always said to be on Owen Street. Whereas actually it's on Jackson Street, which is that one down there. But when we started getting too big, when the company was getting more successful and growing and what have you, we moved, the whole design department moved in there.